Welcome back to the Flying Squirrels pregame warm-up. Scott Blusiewicz joined now by Richmond Flying Squirrels second baseman Ryan Cavan. Ryan, your first year at the AA level after a very strong campaign last year with Advanced A San Jose. We're about 2 weeks into the season. What are your early impressions of AA in general and the Eastern League in particular?
Well, being in Richmond, first off, is a great place to play. The fan base is the best I've ever played in front of. And as far as the competition, it's definitely a lot better. The pitcher's arms velocity has gone up, command's gone up, secondary pitches. So as a hitter, you have to have really good plans and have a really good game plan before you go up to the plate and stick to that plan. And I think I've done a good job of it for the first 2 weeks, but I just want to keep getting better in that regard of staying focused with my plan and being ready to play every day.
You began your pro career as a shortstop in short season ball and then moved over to second base. Describe that transition.
Well, in college I primarily played shortstop, and in short season in Salem I played shortstop. So going over to second base was a bit of a transition at first because your weight and momentum is not going towards first base on all the plays, so the throw sometimes is across your body. It took me a little while to get adjusted to that new position, but having got 2 years under my belt, this being my third year there, I really feel confident there now, and I just feel it's a shorter throw, so it's less stressful on my arm, so you don't have as much wear and tear in that regard either. And it's a really fun position. You get to turn a lot of double plays. You get to be in a lot of action on the steals, and I personally really like it. And you can make diving plays and have a good opportunity to throw the guy out just because you're closer to the bag. So I like second base a lot, and I'm happy to be there.
Speaking of turning double plays, you're working with a familiar middle infield partner in Ide Adrianza, who you played with in San Jose last year. He gets rave reviews for his defensive play. What's it like to be out there with him and part of that double play combination?
It's great. I mean, we turn a lot of double plays, and the pitchers like that when you have guys at the middle that when they get the ground ball, they turn double plays, and it's been a privilege getting to work with him. I've learned a lot of things from him, and just watching him kind of make plays, I've learned myself just from watching him, and having had a year of experience with him, coming here with him now, I kind of know how he works, so I'm more familiar with his kind of mannerisms, where he feeds the balls, and so it makes the transition a little bit easier for me, moving up with him.
You had a very interesting college career. It's not unusual to see guys play at three different schools, but generally the route they take is a 4-year school their freshman year, then they transfer to a junior college their sophomore year, and then back to a different 4-year school for their draft year. But with you, it was 3 different 4-year schools, 2 of them at the D3 level, and then your final year at UC Santa Barbara. Explain that for me.
Right. So out of high school, I didn't have really any offers to play anywhere. So my only offer was in Trinity in San Antonio, Texas, which was Division III, because a couple of my high school teammates had gone there. So that was kind of like my pipeline to get to that school. And I had success, but I didn't want to go to college in Texas for 4 years. So I went back to California and I transferred to Chapman. And I had another good season at Chapman. I loved Chapman and their program there. We went to the College World Series there. We were ranked number 1 for a while. Great program, but my dream was to play professionally, trying to play in the big leagues, and so I thought the best route for me to do that was to try and play Division I baseball. And a matter of fact, Chuck Huggins, he was my teammate in Trinity. He transferred to Santa Barbara, and he talked to the head coach at Santa Barbara. He said, "You should get this kid. You want him on your team." Talked to him, ended up getting into Santa Barbara. And then my junior year, I went to Santa Barbara, but I realized that because it was my third NCAA school, I had to sit out my junior year. So I sat out the whole time, and that's really where I got better, is that 1 year where I sat out. I lifted as hard as I've ever lifted, and then I went and played summer ball, and I was very determined and very driven to try and achieve my dream of, getting drafted. And then I got an opportunity my junior year to play at Santa Barbara, and I wasn't originally starting the first couple games, but I got to play in the Minnesota tournament at the Metrodome, and I got the Silver Stick Award for the tournament, and the rest is history. I ended up getting drafted that year by the Giants. That was the hometown team that I grew up rooting for as a kid, going to Candlestick Park, watching Will Clark play. So it was really that was probably the best day of my baseball career, was hearing hearing my name, and one of my friends called me, one of the coaches, and said I got drafted by the Giants. I wasn't watching the draft because I was studying for a final at Santa Barbara, so it was a really good day.
I've read that your favorite author is Ernest Hemingway. What's your favorite Hemingway novel?
Old Man in the Sea, for sure. I really like that book. I just like how he perseveres with the fish. He gets the fish, and then all the sharks end up eating all of it, and there's nothing left. There's just the bones left of the fish, and I don't know. I just like the story. Like, he had this big catch, and he had nothing to kind of show for it. It was just kind of interesting. So I just like that tale.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate your time and your insight. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Scott. I appreciate it.
That was Flying Squirrels second baseman Ryan Cavan. Stay with us. We'll be back with more as the Flying Squirrels pregame warm-up continues right here on Sports Radio 910.